city. And you know, we think chasing down some of these leads and running out some of these ground balls that you know, we're able to do here are going to result in great activity. In fact, we have two leases out currently for signature that total another 18,000 square feet. With all of that activity, if we get these two leases done here before the end of the year, we'll be up to 80% occupancy. The primary remaining vacancies, the glaring one is the former Pella Windows space, about 47,000 square feet. And certainly that's one of our primary focuses here, as well as the former Dynamex distribution space. And there's a really promising prospect for that space that we're excited about. So I think overall we see great activity. Gwen and her team have been very helpful in getting some questions answered that prospects have, and we certainly look forward to a good continued partnership with the township, making sure that this continues to be a vibrant industrial park. So are there any questions that anybody has that I can help?
I was actually going to add a couple of things to what Mateo said. What we've done with ownership's approval, we've come into quite a few of the spaces now. We've put in new energy efficient lighting, doing a lot of stuff proactively to make those spaces be ready for and help him show the space when he's leasing. Come in, doing a lot of the repair, just cleaning them up. A lot of them hadn't been turned over in years. The big thing is the new lighting, like I said, we're putting in. Just trying to make the spaces ready so that we are showing tenants they're excited about them. And I think, as Mateo said, Gwen's been great to deal with. Your building inspector's been a great guy to deal with. I think we have a great relationship. We're working. He's helping us tremendously. So we're excited about the way we're going with Mateo on board. Just the activity we've seen is just more in 6 months than I saw in the last several years, to be honest. Mm-hmm. So,
are there any aspects to the park that we have influence over that we could assist you with?
So, from our perspective, the most important thing in a partnership with a township really is being accomplished. Prompt answers to questions that we have is extremely important when we're competing for tenants out in the market. The quality and rapidity of the information that we can provide to people is invaluable. So, to that point, Gwen has been very helpful. The one project that we are looking at, the Pella Windows space in particular, has its primary constraint is loading access. That truck court that Pella loaded out of is short and shorter than modern distribution space. So access in and out of that space for tractor trailers is constrained. The one thing that we've been evaluating specifically for a prospect for the space is an expansion of that truck court. So the efficiency with which we can work through the evaluation and approval of that project is important. And that's just an example. I mean, I think there are going to be other aspects that come up. Hopefully when leasing reaches a strong point, there's developable land up here, and we can start to look at the opportunity to add buildings. And again, that's another time when the interaction with the township, I think, is very important.
We have been approached about the one former site, I guess Fourth River was looking to do down towards back over where the soccer fields were down in there. We have been approached by someone relooking at that. So I've been working with HRG on getting the prints and going through that with the ownership. So there is some interest, which is great.
Keep plowing that hill. We're all good.
What is the potential build out? In other words, if you were to decide to build more property, what is the eventual build out? Another 100,000?
So the Fourth River building was in the 80s?
Yes, 80s.
80 range. And, it depends on the configuration of the building, but specifically on, what's commonly known as the ball fields, probably the 60 to 80,000 square foot range. Then along North Drive, depending on the configuration of the building, there's a couple lots up there, including a lot currently parked on by Verizon. That, again, depending on the specific use and parking ratio, is probably another 30 or 40,000 square feet total. And again, I mean, that could be 2 years or 8 or 10, but there certainly was some more opportunity out here from our perspective.
Well, just for your information, we're about maybe 3/4 of the way through a complete SWOT analysis of this township. And one of the things, of course, that rang my bell was the industrial park and the fact that it hadn't been that vibrant for a few years. And it's an opportunity for us, and I would think it would be an opportunity, particularly with what's going on up the river a ways, that's going to spread out all over the space. It's going to be absolutely amazing in the next couple of years. So I have great interest in it, and I'd be happy to, when it's finished, it's going to be a public document. I'd be happy to sit down and have coffee with you.
Forward to it.
Thank you.
I mean, just boil it all down for me. You're at what percentage now, occupancy?
We are at 76%.
76, okay.
Up from 70 in the April timeframe.
Excellent.
Thanks for coming
Any
in.
other questions?
welcome.
Thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, thank you.
Feel free to
Appreciate
stick
that.
around for some cookies or take off if you don't want to sit around.
Okay.
Grab
I'd
like a doggy
love to
bag.
stick around. I have a 2-year-old who wants to play soccer in the basement.
Gwen, anything you need?
So
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
he or she a cookie.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Merry
grab a
Christmas.
cookie from
Merry
the
Christmas.
Thank you.
very much.
public safety. Chief, stand over here just so that our audience can hear you tonight. Stand over right by that podium, please.
It's good.
Perfect.
You hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Big Robert. Well, it's county police activity in Leopold Township for the month of November 2016. The warrant residents of business 2 and 5 and 3, a total of 5. We had one fraud case, which is typical. Someone's card was compromised, and we do a report for them for the insurance company. We had a game, it's come under game laws. Some people were, first day of deer season, were hunting on some property in Leopold Township. They had no permission to hunt on, so we went up, did the best we could, yelled on the loudspeaker, got them to come out. But I understand, it's simple. Game laws are simple, and if you don't have permission to hunt on the property, then you shouldn't be hunting on the property. Because as soon as you go up to the people and you say, why are you hunting on this property? Well, we didn't know you weren't allowed. Well, did you get permission to hunt on the property? No, then you're not allowed. People don't understand this. Domestic, which did result in an arrest, and there was physical issues when the person was arrested. Disabled vehicle, fire call, which was a smoking area. Where was that at? Yeah, it was large amount of smoking area. Fire department arrived, so I'm sure they'll have their report, but there was nothing there. Civil dispute, this was someone cutting trees down on property that they may not have been, that's all right. Yeah, this, and 911 hang-up calls, we had several of them. They happen for various reasons. People accidentally dial, they bump the phone, they dial 911. But other than that, that's all we had. Any questions from?
I have, go ahead. Well, I have 2 issues, so you go ahead first.
We have a tremendous deer herd that roams the
I see
ridge.
them up there.
Suggest that what can be done about it?
No, I
Anyway.
mean, that's something that the game commission attempts to address with people, and all they simply say is, deer culling and deer hunters are the only way they're gonna fit that herd, unless you do an actual, like they try to do Mount Lebanon, when they do a deer, they
Right.
go in and have a special hunt, but, yeah, you do have a lot, and deer are not dumb, they get very comfortable in an area, and they'll just hang around, and they know they're safe there.
I can walk right out to them. They just look at me
Yeah.
and turn away and keep eating.
Yeah, the
Especially the hospice.
people can hunt up and behind you there, as long as they stay within 150 yards of an occupied structure, then they can legally hunt, and they have permission to hunt on the property.
We're gonna have a petting zoo pretty soon.
They are very smart animals. They're smarter than people think.
You know, of all the things that the COG has not been helpful with, we actually had somebody from the Game Commission come in probably 2 years ago, talking about exactly that. And they were, Osborne was getting irked at Aleppo because they were saying we weren't controlling our deer and we were letting our deer go down there.
Right, we were letting them go down.
We were sending them down.
We were
there.
sending them, exactly. And they talked about these sharpshooters that Mount Lebanon
That's
did
the
is they
calling,
brought in
the calling.
federal sharpshooters
Right.
who came in at night.
Fox Chapel did the same thing.
And they baited the woods, and they had it actually worked out nicely that they took all the meat and they tested it on
They
site,
went to shelters.
and the meat went to shelters. But they said that the cost was ridiculous. I mean, astronomical.
And have they talked about birth control?
Yes, they
And
said
that's been an issue, I know.
they said that if you thought that the cost of federal sharpshooters was high, that
That was
birth
worse.
control was.
None of the deer are covered by Obamacare.
No. Well, they don't need Obamacare.
Okay.
Oh, Bambi care.
All right, so my two issues, the first one, Chief and I went back and forth about this by email, but I thought we'd talk about it here publicly so that we could let our residents know what happened here. And so the board is aware. I had a phone call with a resident who was concerned because this was the week before Thanksgiving, so it was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. He called the Ohio Township Police Department and he says he got a voicemail. And was kind of suggesting that this was at 10 o'clock a.m. During the day. He was kind of suggesting that he thought that somebody should answer the phone at our police department during the day. And I guess they sent him to Allegheny County. So I reached out to the chief and his response was,
Well, we have 3 lines and 2 full-time secretaries that are there every day from 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. Like any business you call, there's a chance that all the lines could be in use and the fax line could be used and the call will go to the voicemail. But what I say to people is, if you have a police, if you really need a police, that's what 911 is.
Right, you call
I mean,
911.
we do have a non-emergency number to Allegheny County. In fact, maybe in the beginning of the year, we'll get you some stickers that you can get out. Do you send anything out periodically? Maybe in the water bills or something like that? We could send something out. And just a little sticker, because some people do like sticking them on. There is a non-emergency number that goes, people get intimidated sometimes about 911. When you call 911, the first thing the person says, 911, what is your emergency? And they get like, I really don't have an emergency. I just want the police to come over and maybe check these guys out behind the house. I always urge people, I don't care what it is. If you need the police, you dial 911. Don't worry about what they say. Just dial 911. With that said, there is a non-emergency number that goes to the same 911 dispatch center. And what they do is they take the call, then they call the car and say, call in or check your CAD, which is a computer in the dispatch, where it will say, hey, go to 103 Weber Road, I got hunters behind the house. But as far as the phone answering in the station all the time, somebody's going to be there 8 to 4 Monday through Friday. If it does get busy sometimes in the phone, but we're not going to have a full-time dispatcher waiting for one phone call. If you need the police, you call 911. That's simple as that. That was invented so the guy was this was a cell phone. The guy driving through Aleppo, he doesn't know what the police dispatch number is. He knows if he dials 911, the police will.
all right, and I appreciate that answer. I think that's exactly what we need to hear. I mean, again, let me just reiterate, because I think it's so important, and I agree with you. I think people are overly stressed about calling 911,
Yeah.
and I say the same thing to people as well.
Doubt.
If you need police there,
Yeah.
that's enough of an emergency that you should be calling
And
911.
I tell them, dial it. Just dial it. Don't worry about what they say. Just dial it. And
Okay.
they're just, I mean, I understand why they say, what is your emergency? But, not everything, what's emergency to you may not be emergency to somebody else. But if you need the police, you call 911.
So in this case, 911 was not the number called.
911 was not the number called.
Good.
They called the Ohio Township Police Department. So they did not call 911. They did not call the non-emergency number. They called the office. They called
Okay.
the office.
And it happened to be busy.
It happened to be busy. But it didn't have anything to do with the holiday. That was not accurate.
I think an information handout
And we'll put,
Would be
I have
good,
those stickers, the little orange stickers, and it shows dial 911, it shows I-Township police number, and it shows the non-emergency dispatch number. And I'll give them to, when you can put them, they can put them in the
Yeah.
water bill.
All right, so that was public safety issue number one. Public safety issue number two is I got an email from Chris Simkoviak, who, those of you who play along at home might remember was the public safety outreach officer who did our fraud prevention video with us a few months back. And he writes, there are scams starting up again regarding ransom and people saying that they have someone's child. The two recent reports did not happen in Aleppo. However, I also noticed, I think this is totally unrelated, but I also noticed when patrolling Aleppo that there were numerous homes that have their garage doors left open. This is during the weekend and daylight. However, I still feel it's safe to have them closed unless someone is working outside or in the driveway. So that's Corporal Simkoviak's message.
And I'll give you the, for instance, on that scam. The scam, when they first came down, they were calling and saying that they had, we have your daughter Gwen and she's in jail right now, and you need to send X amount of dollars to this department, and if you don't send it, we're gonna, she's gonna go to jail, blah, blah, blah. Now what they're doing now, this one come out of Mexico, and the guy was a very, very bright individual, and they call in and they, in a muffled voice, a female voice, says, help me, and then they muffle it, and they say, we got your daughter, and if you don't send us X amount of dollars right now, she's gonna die. And people panic and they say, don't get off the phone. Do not call anybody. You stay on that phone right now. The second you hang this phone up, we're going to do harm to this person. Well, this guy went to 4 different locations and actually went to 2 different banks and sent $6,000 through wire transfers. 2 places. They give him places in Mexico to send it. And at one point, he says, my phone is going dead. They says, right down the street from where you're at is a Sprint store. Go down there and buy a charger. So they're on Google. And they're on Google Earth and they're watching exactly where you're at each time, and they're able to direct you in different locations, making you think, hey, they're watching me, whatever. But it's coming out of Mexico. And he gave up. We were able to get about 2,000 back, stopping the transfers, but about 4,000 or 6,000 to Mexico.
This was local, chief?
Yes, sir. Not in Aleppo, but in one of the other communities. Yeah. And then he finally made the call to the daughter, and the daughter was like, yeah, Dad, I'm fine, I'm right here. I'm not in Mexico.
I appreciate you and Chris telling us about them, because I think that it's only through hearing about them that you realize.
And you think they could never happen to you, but I think that panic sets in that it's a loved one, and whatever someone tells you to do, you're going to do whatever they say right at that moment to help them. If that means staying off the phone and not calling the police, you're going to do it.
Have there been any counter tactics developed? I'm on the phone. If I hang up, my daughter gets hurt.
The only thing we would suggest to people is, stay on the phone,
Cell phone, get a
go to
cell
somebody else, write it on a piece of paper, stop somewhere and,
Right.
Yeah.
just write something on it.
Call my daughter.
Help me, call the police right now, help me.
Ask them to hold the line, tell them that your daughter's calling in.
If you knew this guy, you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
He said, look, I was scared.
Yep.
That's my daughter. He said, you understand?
Yeah.
All right, anything else for the chief? Anything else on public safety? Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
Fire department,
No report.
emergency management,
No report.
public works. Stand over here again, please, for us, and speak loud.
Stand here.
Oh, yeah, you can see we've pretty well finished uploading the leaves on the township roads, and we put up new lights on the township building, and it's a little bright out there now. Some new LED lights.
Look good.
And we reorganized the garage and did a lot of cleanup in there to get more space. Of course, we're back to salting and plowing the roads. Then truck 58, we had an issue with the plow, which got ripped off the truck the first snowfall. Went down Redgate, the truck broke loose. Hit the bank and just literally ripped the plow off the truck. So we got it fixed. It's back in order. Nancy Drive, we had to fix the berm on the side of the road the whole way in on it. It was all washed out. That's what we've been working on.
I want to say, I drove in Saturday morning, it was around noon, from Westmoreland County. And so I did that whole gamut, the Turnpike, 79, Blackburn Road, State Road. And not that it was awful, but it was still slush, ice covered until I came to Aleppo. And it was spotless,
It was
all the
about,
way down.
that was a battle, I think, because you saw it and it would freeze right over again.
Well, you did a great job
Thank you.
because this whole section,
We tried.
I don't know if this is if we should ask about this in budget or if I should ask you, but I had, on a total unrelated question, I had a resident ask me today if School Street was going to be paved in 2017. Is that on our list of 2017?
I believe the School Street was one where you did not get bids returned, and it was flipped over to next year.
Yes.
That's what I'm.
So it's on
Target,
Tarnship in 2017 or 18?
yes, 17,
17, that's on.
So maybe
Gotcha.
we can get a bid.
yes,
It went out too late.
Gotcha. So the hope is to bid 2017 Tarnship School Street.
Well, it was Profile and Tarnship that road because it's so uneven.
Yeah.
Good. All right, anybody else? Public Works? Once, twice. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Communications, other than the other emails I've been reading tonight, I have one to read from Marnie Hayes. Good morning, Matt, blah, blah, blah. The section that really interests me this time is the discussion with Tim Kelly about climate change. I strongly support the scientists who have sounded the alarm about climate change. From what I could glean from this particular discussion, it really is too early for Aleppo representatives to take action. The material did not seem to be fully nor understandably presented by Mr. Kelly. I commend the representatives for taking the time for this discussion and for clearly stating their position at present. There are so many facets to the climate changing issue. I commend the Aleppo representatives for continuing the recycling program in the township. Although this is a small part of the problem, Aleppo does it well. Sincerely. That is my only communications report. Planning and zoning.
you have a motion to approve the Ferndale development. And the motion is actually a lengthy one. That's a placeholder here, but here's, you can take, flip a coin over who gets to read it, let Dan read it, with many conditions that come with the approval.
This is the townhouses?
Yes.
I'm going to read it into the record.
Yeah, and we can also make it an exhibit and have it attached to the minutes would probably be a good idea.
Based upon what we've heard at the work session and the determination that the application is complete and consistent with our requirements, I move to grant final approval of the Ferndale subdivision and land development plan upon the recommendation of Township Planning Commission and subject to the following conditions. 1, the private access easement to adjacent property is accurately identified and shown on the plan. 2, compliance with the HRG engineering review letters dated September 7, 2016, October 4, 2016, and December 7, 2016, all terms of which are incorporated herein by reference. 3rd, compliance with the Allegheny Department of Economic Development review letter dated September 8, 2016. 4th, acceptance of a developer's agreement prepared by the township solicitor. 5th, evidence of availability of water and sewer service from the Aleppo Township Authority. 6th, the Aleppo Township Authority's rules and regulations governing water and sewer service. 7th, compliance with Banks and Engineering's review letter dated November 22, 2016, regarding water and sewer line construction, the terms of which are incorporated herein by reference. 8th, the operation and maintenance agreement for stormwater management. And 9th, construction to be completed within 2 years from date of final approval.
Second. So there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I have 2 emails to read. First comes from Justin Davis. My main concern has always been the traffic. I heard what John says about 24 cars and a Starbucks. Don't care. This is a dead-end road. Sycamore is closed, and when it was open, nobody used it because it is a goat path, much like the manor. Adding more townhouses and 24 more cars at the least end of the manor is significant. The only difference to control traffic is the 15-mile-per-hour speed limit, but how many travel at 15? Ours is 25 miles per hour, which nobody does. Mainly the people in Osborne Highlands and where the townhomes will be built, the same people I see traveling the road 10 times a day. Enough of that. Final thoughts. The R2 zoning up there is ridiculous. Never thought it would happen. What's next? There is still property up there, which could end up being more townhomes. Single family homes is what should be there. That's what was there. That's the type of community it is. Number 2 was from Trisha Pittman Santelli. Hi, Matt. If you could pass this along to the other commissioners ahead of the vote, I would appreciate it. Kevin and I have remained mostly silent since finding out about the proposed townhouse development across the street. While we love our quiet community and don't necessarily want to see that change, we understand that change is a constant. Our main concern is the traffic. After watching last week's video, I see that the driveway for the townhouses will be off of Ferndale, hopefully pushing traffic to the back of our property onto Weber. As you know, the bend at Parkway and Ingleside is very narrow. We constantly meet head-on with neighbors as we all ride in the middle of that bend/turn. Mr. Carter even had to put reflectors in his yard to stop people from cutting the turn and ripping up his grass. The road is a little narrow overall. Often, I find frustrated drivers staring at me while I try to get my mail or back into my driveway. Allowing another 20 or more cars on that road doesn't seem like the best idea to me. That said, there are only 2 houses on that portion of Ingleside, ours and Carter's. No one else really needs to use that section of the road beside the residents at 510 and 516 Ingleside. It actually takes more turns to use Ingleside than to wrap around and stay on Weber. Yes, I understand that Ingleside is a public road maintained by the township. I'm just asking that, if there is any way, traffic volume on an already narrow road and bend be limited. Thank you for your time, Trisha Santelli. So those are the 2 responses that we received after our conversation last week. Anybody else have anything to say? All right, then I think we should.
Well, all of the roads are public?
My understanding, yeah, right?
Yes.
And by the determination of planning commission, town engineer, the application meets all of the applicable requirements. We don't have a lot of flexibility. We don't have any flexibility.
Well, I was going to say that, but I didn't. No, to the extent that all the requirements of the SADO, the subdivision land development ordinance, are met and are satisfied, you generally have 3 choices. You can grant it outright. You can, if it's not, if all the requirements aren't met, you can deny it outright. But in most cases, you will end up granting it subject to conditions.
Which is what the motion.
Which is what the motion is. The conditions that we've put on it are either recommendations from the engineer, from the county development agency, or by me, and they're pretty standard.
In the developer agreement that you'll prepare, can you address any of these concerns that are raised in any way?
I can't go beyond what the ordinance requires, but I do have a standard developers agreement. I've prepared one for this particular development, and it incorporates all these concerns. As far as traffic specifically, those are public streets. And, I mean, if someone has a party and they invite 50 people, you have 50 vehicles going over that road. I understand you're adding permanent residents, but the number of permanent residents you're adding, I would think doesn't add enough to that overall volume that a traffic study would be warranted, which is really the only way you could control this would be with a traffic study. But I don't think again, I'm relying on the engineer here, but I assume he looked at that and decided that there wasn't enough volume to warrant an actual traffic.
Because
study.
the cost of a traffic study is,
Not warranted.
but the cost is somewhere around $20,000, right? We looked at this.
So, yeah,
Yeah, for the
depending
study.
on what you ask for, but a full-blown traffic study is at least $20,000.
Could be more.
Chief,
If you ever need a count, I can give you an accurate count, but it's not.
It's not.
Put a machine up that's gonna do virtually the same thing that they're gonna do, but.
unofficially.
A question to Public Works. We just did some minor alterations on Swickley Ridge Drive, simply putting a yellow line. One of these comments is we're driving on the wrong side of the road.
Well, Ingleside is a narrow road to begin with. If you put a line, you're not gonna have the true center.
Are there any minor alterations or adjustments that you can think of to alleviate their concerns?
At this point, no, not really, because of the width of the roads they've always been that way. And painting lines is not gonna solve this problem.
Okay.
Mr. Stadium.
What about the zoning issue with the remaining pieces of property up there? I know we've kind of talked about this before, and we always talk about it in terms of the cooperative agreement with Swickley and Osborne, but without waiting for that, is there proactive action that we can take that changes the zoning up there?
We don't have to wait for the cooperative stuff. We can change our zoning ordinance at any time. As long as we just follow the rules for
Yeah,
changing
follow
our
the
zoning
procedures
ordinance.
for it.
Right.
Takes-
But and the only thing I'd point out is that that's absolutely true. The joint comprehensive planning has really nothing to do with other changes in your ordinance, other than if you change your map and your permitted or your restricted uses. So it really doesn't enter into this, but, and you can amend your zoning ordinance anytime you want, but as Commissioner Dara points out, you do have to go through the process to amend the ordinance.
Okay, but if we wanted
But yes.
to be proactive and address Mr. Davis's concern, what would the next step be to preventing?
Well, before you answer that question, given the current status of this application, could we effectively change the zoning that would prohibit this development?
Not this one. That's not what he's
No.
saying. He's saying there's another piece of property up there.
Yeah, this one, there's nothing you can do about because they applied while the ordinance
right.
was pending. So that's, but in the future, yes, you can go through the amendment process, requires a couple of hearings and the advertising. But I would point out that, and again, it doesn't matter to me, you guys are the legislative body, but it was only a couple of years ago that we did a comprehensive study, and your planners that you paid a fair sum of money to met with neighbors, residents, and determined through that process that this was the appropriate place for this type of development. Now, that can change, and you can ignore those, you can do whatever you want. But I just want you to be aware that there was a study done and there was public input, and that was the use that was selected for that particular district.
Okay, but tell me,
That was the
2012.
Weber's Corner, the Weber's Corner.
At the same time,
Same-
not Weber's Corner, but same time.
2012. So
2012, the
Oh.
ordinance was.
It's not that pretty new.
okay,
Yes,
so tell me what motion I make in new business to affirmatively put that process into place.
Well, I don't think you need a motion. I think all you need to do is let Gwen know that you want to have, if you're going to use the planners, you would like our planners to take a look at that and see if they would recommend a change in a use for that district.
I would like,
Or if you'd rather not do that, you could just instruct Gwen and I to review it and prepare an appropriate amendment.
I would like Gwen to dig into the files and give us copies of what the planners said that determined this zoning now.
This is the zoning, that's the zoning that's been up there for multiple years. That wasn't really changed in 2012. It's been R2 up there for a long time, and R2 has also
But
always.
was
been
there any
multifamily.
reference that said that's a good idea?
No, nothing that said that's a good idea. It was
change
unchanged
it.
from the prior designation. If you want to change zoning, you have a couple of options. One is to change the district that neighborhood is in, or you could change the use that district allows, right?
Right.
It's not a,
But changing the map is a little more complicated than changing the description of the use. So if you're gonna rewrite the map, it's a little more complicated.
and if you change an R2 from a multifamily, you have to put multifamily in either R1 or R3. And R3 is the considered the farming, more rural designation. R1 is considered the single family home designation, but you have to have multifamily somewhere.
Okay, see, I mean, I don't want to decide these issues tonight, but I want to make a motion tonight, and the rest of my fellow commissioners can vote to pass it or not pass it, or table it, or do whatever you want to. I want to put a motion on the table tonight that moves us towards answering these questions, rather than just sort of passively thinking about them. So I guess my question to the two of you who are the worker bees in this is, what is the way you want me to style putting that on the table?
If you just want us to start looking at it, or do you want us to come up with a
Well,
recommendation?
he's talking about maybe you having the planners involved.
No, you don't have to do that. I was only suggesting that.
Basically, what they're saying is scrap the multifamily unit, make it a single family unit zoning. That's not a big change, but I mean, it seems to me that there are some concerns expressed, whether they turn out to be reality or not, another story. It might be better, before you jump into changing the zoning, to wait and see whether this development really creates havoc up there.
But it could be too late. I mean,
Well, that development is in and it's going to be in. And so he's saying that that's creating a traffic issue, right?
Well,
It could.
but the concern is,
I know.
that it will
Concern.
create a traffic issue.
Yeah.
And then there's other usable land which may have more development. So maybe we should wait and see if it indeed does create a traffic issue.
Well, if it does, then I think that would probably move us over to going to an R1 and putting single family in there rather than multifamily, to make sure that we're not increasing the load that is going to occur. But that's 2 years
You
down
can
the
build a
road.
single family in R2, right?
Yeah.
But if you go R1,
Then you
you've
can't
limited
build
the use of the
multifamily.
property. It may become useless for all practical purposes.
okay, well, this is certainly away from the motion that's on the table now, which is this, but it's part and parcel, because I like I say, in new business, I'm gonna make some sort of a motion, and we can either flesh it out now and get it the way we want it, or we can deal with it in new business.
Well, if you're doing new business, let's call the question on this one and keep moving.
Fair enough,
Yeah.
okay. Any other discussion on, the motion to approve the Ferndale lots and subdivision and land development plan subject to conditions? All right, let's take a roll call, please.
President Joba,
Yes.
Vice President Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Scholar,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Dara.
Yes,
Motion carries. Thank you. Anything else in planning and zoning? All right, tax collector.
Kim, I think is passing their reports for the month of November. Just for the record, so the taxes that were collected in November, we have property tax at $639.51. The delinquent real estate tax was $0. The realty transfer tax was $0. The earned income tax was $16,600.30. The local services tax was $3,542.87, and the business privilege tax was $40. So total collected was $20,822.68 for the month of November. You have your account ending balances with the PNC checking account, you're at $311,331.83. The Invest Infrastructure 537 Plan Fund, the balance is $15,788.72. Liquid Fuels, $75,872.05. The Pliget Savings Account, $57,832.06. The other Pliget Plus savings was $280.12. The Pliget Prime is at $358,483.26. Pliget CD is at $497,000. CD interest was at $396.71. The reserve fund, is at $4,010.79. Let's see, the reserve CD is around $100,000, and then the capital improvement fund is at $66,999.69. So total monies on hand for the month of November is $1,487,995.23. When you subtract out again the pledged funds and the targeted funds, you have net operating funds of $1,325,323.98 for that. And then you can also see the sewer bond, Pliget 1 fund, and the capital Pliget fund as well, balances for that. The last 2 pages is your tax collection analysis for the month of November. You can see the first graph is the comparison from November of 2016 to November of 2016 to November of 2015. Currently, right now, the next graphic down is the 2016 year-to-date taxes that were collected as compared to the budget for the 2016 fiscal year. And so right now, we're looking a little bit over about 11,000 difference on the budget right now, with 1 more month to go. The next 2 graphs are just a comparison of the 2015 year-to-date with the budget, and then a comparison of the year-to-date between currently right now 2016 and 2015. So, anybody have any questions?
So let me interpret the taxes collected and tell me if my interpretation matches yours.
Okay.
We're gonna miss property tax and delinquent real estate tax, because we're on property tax, we're $2,800 behind, and delinquent real estate tax, we're $7,500 behind. And we haven't had a month that had either of those 2 numbers.
Yes, we still have 1 more month to go yet.
I know that, but we haven't had a month that made up those numbers in 4
Not yet.
months, right?
No.
But it's gonna be a wash, because the other ones really, transfer taxes, earned income tax, local service tax, and business privilege tax have done better than expected.
Correct.
Great. That's what I wanted to hear. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
I wish you all Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Merry
Holidays,
Christmas.
all that fun
Thank you.
stuff.
Anything that you saw, Mr. Treasurer?
Nothing
trending?
right now. Like I said, as I kind of start comparing to the actual numbers that I see in the checking and the account balances,
And were the consolidations of our investment accounts accomplished?
Underway.
Underway. Good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okey-doke, onto the finance section of our agenda, and there is a motion there.
I make a motion to approve the November bill list in the amount of $24,721.90, to ratify the November prepaid bills in the amount of $8,030.37, and to ratify the November payroll transfers in the amount of $22,120.24.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you.
I move to adopt the 2017 real estate tax ordinance with no change in millage.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Can you tell us what the millage will be, please?
3.5.
3.5 mils. Taxes stay the same. Hallelujah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you.
I move to adopt the 2017 budget ordinance.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. I have further discussion. When we discussed this on Friday, last week, there had been some changes. And those changes last week were the suggestion of increasing the commissioner's salary. You're saying that's been removed?
Correct?
That has been removed from the budget because it can be voted on as a separate issue. So
All
it's
right.
it's been taken out, it's no longer in this version of the budget. You now have the orange version this week. So that's what you're voting on.
Purple last week?
Purple last week, orange is the
Orange
final.
this week? Maybe.
Maybe.
Don't count your chickens before they're hatched. Okay, any other questions? All right, let's take a roll call on that, please.
President Dogler,
Yes.
Vice President Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Scholar,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Dara.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you all, and thank those of you who worked hard on putting it together. I appreciate that. Aleppo Township Authority.
We have some engineering studies, or I wouldn't call them studies at this point, I call them reviews of the sewer system, trying to establish what issues may be ongoing and what design issues may have been causing some of the constant breakdowns. They have our engineer, the authority's engineer, and another knowledgeable person from the area went through and found that there were substantial conditions that are going to have to be addressed. Some of them were from design, and some of them were, quite frankly, this is my opinion, putting in controls, and none of which were real time. The technology is probably 25 to 30 years old, but it's been what's always done. And so consequently, we're not getting alarms early enough to be able to do anything. One of the issues was we lost 500,000 gallons of water on Redgate. And if it weren't for one of the residents, we would probably not know about it for some time. After that, there should have been a pressure drop alarm, but as far as I know, there may not be one, or it didn't happen. So when I have more details to say, I think we'll have to have a workshop on that one. And you were put in touch with the engineers, so we're coordinating all of this through Harlan, so that there's nothing drops through, because I think this will come down in further actions, so to speak.
I think what Commissioner Williams is trying to say is that there may be some ramifications to the pending litigation as a result of what our findings are, and therefore they're being sent to me so that they can be maintained as privileged, confidential material.
Right.
All right,
Thank you. That's it.
That's the legal side.
All right, anything else from the authority? Thank you. QB-COG. We had a very nice holiday party. We missed our holiday party at the Brewing Company on Ohio River Boulevard.
Nice party.
Commissioner Williams was there. Commissioner Jones was there. Commissioner Dobler was there. It's a nice time. That's the COG report. Ambulance Authority.
Okay, Medicare rates had a slight increase this year, up to 0.7% on trips, which is a little bit higher. It was 0.4 last year. The fund drive, so to date for the last meeting, was up to 23,000, but they get a lot in the last month of December when everybody wants to write off their charitable giving. So that'll go up at least another 10. And there was talk, which I think it's happening, that going to lose their Findlay Township connection for the ambulance. They're going to use another company. But the contract, I think, is still good till March. And they're not happy about it, but it is what it is. That's it.
Joanne, can you explain to me the impact of the Medicare increase?
Of what?
Of the Medicare
Oh,
increase?
I don't think it'll be huge. What do you mean the impact?
Well, you said it went from
0.4 to
0.7.
0.7.
What does that mean?
I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's a slight increase.
in the allowance of what to pay.
Right. Right. And I can't tell you.
Okay.
in
So
dollars
if
and
so
cents.
if the ambulance does a Medicare
Right.
transfer, they're limited by Medicare's rate schedule as to what they're entitled to get paid.
That was my assumption. Thank you.
I mean,
Okay.
I don't know what its interpretation of
Good.
dollars and
Good.
cents.
Well, you think that means that Medicare pays
The increase-
0.7 of 1%?
The increase
No,
in what
the
they paid over
increase
last
of
year
what they
is
pay.
a 0.7% increase.
So if they pay
I see, I see, I
$100
see.
a trip,
Good.
it went up by 0.4.
Social
last year.
Security hasn't gone up in the last 2 years.
Well, it did. It went up this year for 2017.
Right, but the
But
2
now
prior
they-
years,
Took it back.
right, with the premiums.
Right.
Yeah, and then some.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okey doke. Thank you, Commissioner Scholar. MS4. Say something good.
The COG continues to meet on the MS4 issue, and our committee talked about it at our COG meeting last week, the managers and secretaries meeting, and we talked about priorities for 2017, and continued MS4 education is going to be one of the COG's priorities in 2017.
Good. Thank you. Solicitor.
Before you do that, I forgot to give Chief
Yes, sir.
kudos on our request for some controls of the speed on
Oh, okay.
Merriman Road up near
Nancy Drive.
Nancy Drive.
Yes, sir.
Put up 2 signs which flash 25 at you. And
Yeah,
they-
we'll, when the weather gets better and things clear up in spring, if it's still complaining, then we'll do a little enforcement.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch it from inside. So far, I haven't heard any gnashing of teeth or anything, but I can tell you that no one came up there at 25, including yours truly. So it's effective, and the minute you turn on the Merriman, it picks you up.
Mhm.
They work, they do,
They do. Good.
to a certain extent.
I really don't have a report other than what we already did. I just would point out that the litigation that we're involved in, it was scheduled for mediation on February 7th, which should be the new date, but we're still waiting for 2 of the interested parties to confirm that date. And that's all I have to report.
We probably, when we finish and go into executive session, there's some additional information that you might need to have.
Okay, we'll do an executive, and then I'll maybe go into some more detail myself.
Okay. Old business. New signs for the township entrance points.
Yes, we got a cost for the new signs, the hanging signs, they're $210 a piece. So the total cost would be just over $3,000.
I move that we spend $3,000 for, well, why don't we say
Not to exceed
not to exceed
3,500.
3,500 for new signs for the township entrance points.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion carries. You got it?
Thank you.
Live well Allegheny.
Okay. I've been in touch with Hannah Hardy. Now, who was here? Who came to the building? Was
The
it
executive director,
the physician, doctor? Okay. 'Cause she didn't seem to know who came. And I said they were here and they checked out our vending machine. But we went over all of the different aspects of their expectations of living well. And actually, we have several things that we do right here in Aleppo that are, we have a little bit of a hiking path near the manor, and I'm not sure who owns that hiking path. Does that belong to Sewickley Heights Manor?
That was always my understanding, yes.
Is it? Yeah, I thought it was, but, and I talked about the nature center, which she thought certainly could fall into the category of
But that's in
something.
Sewickley Heights.
That's true, that is, yeah, can't use
But we can look at it.
but no, it's okay, it's okay, because one of the goals in living well is that we as a township take our resources and our goals and move them to other townships. And the fact that we're members of the Nature Center and we
we are indeed.
encourage our constituents to use the Nature Center would be meeting one of those goals. So we went over a bunch of them. And of course, the big thing is maybe looking at the vending machine and trying to get some more better snacks in there.
Too much sugar in it.
It is. Yeah, they really want you to go with like, I know.
Nuts.
Well, I do nuts and get away from the candy and
Celery.
things of that sort. But she was very nice. And then once I get all of this together, and did you tell me that the school has pretty decent lunches?
It's my understanding
Was
my
it
kids go to
you?
school there. I don't,
Was it
yeah,
you?
yeah, I
said
told you
to me,
that.
and you said you thought that, the lunches were pretty balanced.
That is what I said.
Yeah, good.
Are you gonna prove me wrong?
Well, I'd like to go and see. I mean, if
Yeah.
we're living well in Allegheny County, I mean, I think we should support Michelle Obama's program
Yeah.
and eating healthy lunches. So,
All right, so you're gonna follow up with Hannah Hardy,
I
or what's the
am,
next
and
step?
then what we have to do once we meet 3 or 4 or 5 of these things is that we need to prepare a resolution. And she actually did send me 4 sample resolutions from different communities. I ran out of paper, so I only printed one, which I'm going to give to you if I can. Maybe next meeting we'll have copies of these examples.
Good.
Can't wait.
You can't wait. You make fun of me.
I'm not making fun of
want me
you.
to do
I
this
look
job.
forward, I asked you to do this job, Commissioner Scholar, and I
If
appreciate it.
there's a
Thank you.
resolution to start the vending machine with prune juice, I'm not selling.
Joanne, were the healthy living aspects of Masonic Village discussed?
I
Because
did talk
there are a
about
lot of
Masonic.
activities.
Yes, I did bring that up about Masonic, and I said, I'm sure there are many things going on there.
I might say they probably know what those are and we could get those in
Right,
writing.
and I thought I could meet with somebody there because I thought that there would be lots of things going on there. I think we're really ahead of the curve.
Good.
I think that we may
So
be
if we
the
pass muster, do
poster
we get,
child for Allegheny County,
so if we
right
pass
here
muster,
in Aleppo.
we get
Wow.
money?
That should be on our SWAT.
We get
No,
money?
but
Can
we
write a
get
grant?
recognition. They do recognition. No money. She's already told me that monies are shorthanded, but they would do some recognition things. We might get, a news hour or something.
Call it an attaboy.
There you
An
go.
attaboy.
All right, Commissioner
Joanne.
Scholar, attaboy.
Joanne, just a pitch for the inside on the Masonic Village. They have a nutritionist that is signed up to the assisted living and nursing care. And I think that personally, that she should be working more closely with the food services business down in retirement living.
I'll drop a hint, okay?
Yeah.
I'll just say,
Point
while
me.
you're at it, just,
Joanne, I think the Fern Hollow Nature Center, the majority of the use is by Aleppo Township residents. I think Sewickley Heights Manor has the swimming pool, tennis courts, and enormous amounts of walking. Combined with Masonic Village's programs, I think those should all be noted because they're real.
And we have a lot of deer.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are aware that
The deer? How many?
no, that the health center at Masonic Village is open to the public.
I did, I brought that up. I
Yeah.
brought up about the pool and the gym,
That pool
and
is
that that's
marvelous.
available to the, I did. I brought that up, and it's open to the public.
Yep.
I said, I'm not sure if it's just restricted to Aleppo, but it certainly is available.
I don't think that it's restricted to.
It's not, we have friends that come from Moon Township.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought it was.
I know there's people coming up from Swickley.
Well, but that's certainly worth saying, right? And maybe this is the whole point of this exercise, is to have these conversations and get these things out there. If you're watching this at home and you don't know it, the Masonic Village has an excellent gym and
it's
an excellent pool,
childcare.
indoor pool. And it's not free, but it's very
It's
inexpensive.
very inexpensive.
Very inexpensive. And I know my wife has worked out there.
And
She loves
childcare,
it.
they have an excellent
they do.
childcare program.
And it's
I
right
know
here.
people who send their children there.
One of my officers sent his, when they were in daycare.
Yeah,
They loved it.
Oh, we sent our kids were there for 6 years or something. like
Were
that.
they?
Yeah,
Okay.
loved it.
yeah, it's very good.
We're all fed well and gain weight.
That's right.
Yes, we are.
I'll talk
That's
to
why
the
I'm pointing out the
nutritionist.
nutritionist.
I'll make sure I get a handle on it.
All right, well, thank you,
You'll
Commissioner
rue
Scully.
the day you ever gave me this project.
All right, next on the old business, I don't think is really an old business item, but here it is, Commissioner stipend increase. Since it's been pulled out of the agenda,
Pulled out
or
of
pulled
the,
out of the,
right, didn't want it to hold up the budget, which is far more important, but the stipend, in my studies with the SWOT analysis, to my knowledge, the stipend has not been increased in something like 5 years, maybe longer. No one
Oh,
seems
it's
to
much
know.
longer.
No one seems to know.
It's
But
I just read, I think, 2008.
7.
2007?
Yeah,
Okay,
you have a copy of the old, the last change
Yeah.
ordinance in your
Yeah.
packet.
thank you.
Mhm.
And since the commissioners are not permitted by state law to give themselves a raise while they're in office, if we don't move on this at this time, that means that we won't be able to review this until 2020. Which, from a business standpoint, makes no sense to me.
no, I don't understand. I don't, well, make your motion, let's talk about it. Make your motion.
So my motion is to put in, to bring the commissioner's stipend up to the state-approved level, effective with 2018, however that works.
And you want to bring it to, well, okay.
It's commissioners and the treasurer.
And the treasurer,
Correct.
yes.
It can't go into effect until January of 2018.
Yeah, since we were on
So
4
what is the
years.
precise change?
When?
$156.25 if you take the 1875 and you divide it by 12 months. So you could make it 150 if you wanted to be cleaner or.
I need a second. Now
Second.
Now we can talk about it.
All right, so there's a motion and a second. So it's going to go to, from what to what?
$100 a month to
150.
156.25 if you take the
I think
1875.
we
and
should
divide
go
by
to
12.
160.
No, you can't.
I'm
Can't.
kidding,
Can't
I'm
do it?
kidding, I'm only kidding, I'm rounding it off.
The state say that we'd all go too crazy and then they'd have a problem. So they have to stay below it.
Okay, so the motion is to raise it from $100 a month to $156 per month.
In 2018.
And it would take effect in 2018.
Yeah, in compliance with the state.
Now, tell me why if we don't vote on this now, we can't look at it again until
Well,
2020?
if a commissioner stands for election and is elected to office for 2018, okay, that freezes it for 4 years
Mm.
because you can't give yourself a raise according to the statute.
Well, but I think there's no elections that have just occurred, so we could look at this question during the course of 2017. It's just that the ordinance would have to be in place before 2018 and before the election for 2018.
The 2017 election, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it doesn't need to be
No,
decided
but
tonight.
what I said was if it's not looked at at
It's
this
not done
time,
then.
it flips over, you're at 2020.
You're right.
Okay. Well, there's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, let's take a roll call, please.
President Dover,
No.
Vice President Jones,
Yes?
Commissioner Scholar,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Darrow.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay. New business, is there any other old business? All right, new business. I have a motion. My motion is for us to direct the township manager to prepare options concerning removing townhouses from the zoning development on Ferndale, on Weber Road.
And you have to talk about the whole district. Can't talk about us, you can't spot zone, so you have to talk about the whole district, right, Harlan?
Okay.
Define district for me.
Right now, are you talking
R2.
about R2?
Yep.
So the motion to direct the township manager to prepare options concerning removing townhouses from R2 zoning district.
Yep.
Okay, that's your motion.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question.
Yep.
If a developer came in tomorrow and wanted to put 12 townhouses on the adjacent property, could we advise the planning commission now that one of our concerns is traffic and we'd like to hold off on any approvals till we know better? Can't do that?
No, if you have decided that you intend to remove the townhouses from that district, and so you could run an ad in the paper saying that you intend to amend your zoning ordinance to remove townhouses from that, and then under the pending ordinance doctrine, no, go the other way around. Under the pending ordinance doctrine, if someone comes in tomorrow and files an application and you put them on notice that you intend to change your ordinance, you can hold them to the new ordinance. If you do nothing and they come in and they file.
But if you do what the motion says, aren't you changing the zoning map?
Well, that's what I want. I want options.
Well, no, because you're not necessarily going to change your map. You may
Well,
just,
If
you may
you're
just,
doing this on a district-wide basis, you're taking it from an R2 to an R1, because you can take multifamily out of the R2, it's an R1.
You'd have to add it to R1, 'cause it's not in R1.
well, you're going to be taking, are you going to take all multifamily out of your R1 or just townhouses? It's another,
Multifamily, duplexes, apartments.
right. And then the other thing is Gwen and I can talk about this, we don't have to do it tonight, but the other thing you got to consider is if you take townhouses out of R2, you got to allow for them, you got to put them
Well, that's what
somewhere.
she's saying. I get that.
All right. Yeah. But wouldn't any multifamily apartments, anything in there would cause the same problem as a
It'd be
townhouse?
worse, if you did an
Could be
apartment,
worse.
it'd be worse than a townhouse.
So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to eliminate all multifamily from that district. And then Dan's right, then you don't have an R2 anymore, you have an R1.
And then you have to go through a more difficult process of changing your zoning map.
Then you're redoing your map, yeah. That's probably where you wind up, yes.
All right. Well, I want that laid out. That's
Okay.
my motion. That's the motion.
You're asking for options, is that correct?
I'm asking for options. I don't want to decide it tonight. I just want to be able to see a document that lays out our options. Is there any further discussion on that motion? right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
No.
Motion carries. Any other new business? All right, action items. Quickly, pension analysis.
I'm working with our actuarial consultant to make sure that any pension structural changes run through him, and he will advise us on what documentation we need to make a structure change from a flat contribution to a percentage-based contribution. So that's in the works.
Okay,
Is this for both pensions,
It's only for ours.
police and township?
No, just township, not
Just
uniform.
township.
Police, we're not touching police.
We're not addressing the authority?
We don't have the authority to address the
I know.
authority yet.
Have we investigated options relative to the authority?
They already do a percentage base, so
Okay.
all right, Glen Mitchell Road cleanup.
week 3 of photos have been received, and next week will be week 4 of photos.
So we'll get this a
So they
slideshow.
don't-
Doesn't
change?
look any
It doesn't
different to me.
It doesn't look much different to me. These aren't straight photos because you're not on the property, but it doesn't look like there's a lot of
Pretty
change.
bad.
I've also had several comments on the accumulation of cars again.
In that same area?
Well, that will be a very interesting conversation in the new year. Any other action items? Citizen participation. Yes, sir.
My name's Rod Gartner, 3051 Scottish Rite Lane. Question on this pay increase, which I'm not opposed to, but I question the timing. Isn't there something that says that a commissioner or elected official in office cannot vote on a raise increase for the time that they're still serving?
Yeah.
Isn't,
That's why the motion was to make it effective for the commissioners that served following the 2017 election.
so anybody, like a few of you, will serve in office till 2020. So,
Well, if
Can't take it.
those of us who have a term to serve in 2017 will not get, will be on the same pay as we are right now.
Yeah.
If we get reelected, and there's no guarantees as demonstrated by
some-
the last
some of
election we
you,
had.
the term goes beyond 2020.
We can use Art as an example and Dan as an example. Dan has to run, so if he runs and gets reelected in 2018, he can take the pay increase. Art will be unable to take the pay increase until he runs again, which would be 2020.
Okay, I didn't understand that part. Thank you.
Anybody else? Citizen participation. That's it. There's been a call for an executive session, so I think what we should do is we should go off the record now, and let's take a little bit of time to enjoy some coffee and some cookies, and then we'll have our executive session after that, and then we'll come back on the record, and we'll close out after that. The purpose of the executive session is,
Well, actually, it's related to the litigation. It's just some information that I think I derived from the stuff that we've received with regard to the sewer increase issue and how that might impact.
all
I
right,
could just have a conversation with Colin separately, and it doesn't have to be executive session.
fair enough. Then there will be no executive session, and therefore,
You.
You're welcome.
we are adjourned at 8:18. Happy holidays to everybody.
Present.